Hyunwoo Kim stood in the massive hall of the Galaxy Council. The building was huge, made of crystal that reached up to the clouds. Around him sat thousands of alien creatures from across the galaxy. Some looked like giant insects, others like floating jellyfish, and some were just balls of light that spoke through machines. For 30 years, Hyunwoo had been Earth's voice in this place. He had asked for fair treatment for humans. He had begged for equal rights. He had watched as his people were ignored, laughed at, and pushed around by creatures who thought they were better than humans. Today was different. Today, Hyunwoo was not asking for anything. The tall, blue-skinned Chancellor Vexthara looked down at him from her high seat. Her 6 eyes showed no respect, just the same boredom she always had when humans spoke. Next to her, the crystal creature called High Arbiter. Morden glowed with a cold light. "Human representative," Vexthara said in a voice that sounded like breaking glass. "You have asked to speak. Make it quick. We have important matters to discuss." Hyunwoo smiled. It was not a happy smile. "I will be very quick, Chancellor. Earth is leaving the Galaxy Council. We quit." The hall became silent. 10,000 alien voices stopped talking all at once. Vexthara's 6 eyes opened wide. "What did you say?" "You heard me," Hyunwoo said, his voice calm and clear. "Yesterday you voted to take away our mining rights in the Tau Ceti system. Rights to planets that humans found first. Rights to worlds that humans built cities on. You gave those rights to the Centauri because they are older and more powerful." Morden's crystal body flashed with angry red light. "The Centauri have prior claim based on ancient star maps." "Ancient star maps that they made up last week," Hyunwoo replied. "We know. Our spies are better than you think." The hall erupted in noise. Aliens were shouting, clicking, buzzing, and making sounds that human ears could not understand. Some were angry. Some seemed scared. None of them were laughing at the humans anymore. Hyunwoo raised his hand for silence. The noise slowly stopped. "For 50 years, Earth has been part of this council. In that time, we have shared our technology with you. We built the quantum communication networks that let you talk across the galaxy instantly. We created the medical machines that cure your diseases. We designed the computers that run your ships. And what did we get in return?" Hyunwoo's voice got louder. "You told us we were too young, too primitive, too dangerous. You put limits on how many ships we could build. You banned us from exploring certain areas of space. You taxed our trade routes but not your own." Chancellor Vexthara stood up from her high seat. She was 12 feet tall, and her skin was covered in sharp spines. "You forget your place, human. We allowed you into this council when you were nothing but animals playing with fire. We taught you how to travel between stars." "No," Hyunwoo said quietly. "We figured that out ourselves. You just told us where we were allowed to go." He pulled out a small device and held it up. It was a simple black box, no bigger than his hand. "This is a quantum communicator. Every ship in the galaxy has one. Every space station uses them. Every planet depends on them for trade, for news, for basic communication." Hyunwoo pressed a button on the device. "All of these communicators were built by humans. All of them run on human-designed programs. All of them connect to networks that we control." The device beeped once. Then it went dark. "That was the shutdown signal," Hyunwoo explained. "Right now, every human-built quantum communicator in the galaxy is turning off. Every network we created is going silent. Every system we designed is shutting down." The hall exploded in panic. Aliens were pulling out their own communication devices, pressing buttons, shaking them, hitting them. Nothing worked. The quantum networks that connected the galaxy were dying, one by one. On her home planet of Centauri Prime, Admiral So-Min Park received Hyunwoo's message just before the networks went dark. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes were hard as steel. She had commanded Earth's space fleet for 15 years, watching as the Council limited her ships and restricted her movements. "All units," she spoke into her communicator. "Operation Clean Slate is now active. All human ships are to return to Earth space immediately. Do not respond to any alien communications. Do not offer aid to any non-human vessels. Earth stands alone now. Her flagship, the Soul, turned away from the patrol route it had been flying near Centauri space. Around it, 12 other human ships did the same. They left behind them a group of alien vessels that were trying desperately to contact their homeworlds through communicators that no longer worked. Back in the council hall, chaos ruled. Delegates were screaming at their broken devices. Some were demanding that their personal ships come pick them up, but those ships could not receive the messages. Dr. Ji-Hai Choi sat in her laboratory on Luna Base, watching the shutdown happen, in real time on her screens. She was Earth's top scientist, the person who had invented most of the technology that the galaxy depended on. For years, she had given away her inventions freely, hoping to build friendship with alien races. Now she watched those same aliens realize how much they needed her work. Doctor, her assistant Young Sik Nam asked, what if they try to attack Earth? Ji-Hai smiled. Let them try. They don't know about the new ships we've been building. They don't know about the weapons we've created. They think they know all of our technology, but we've only shown them the old stuff. Across human space, secret shipyards came to life. For 20 years, Earth had been building a hidden fleet. Ships that were faster than anything the aliens had. Weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Shields that could stop any attack. The galaxy had treated humans like children. They were about to learn that the children had grown up. Back on Nexus, Prime, Hyunwoo walked calmly toward the exit. Alien guards tried to stop him, but their energy weapons would not fire. Their stun batons would not work. All of their equipment used human-designed power cells, and those were shutting down too. This is not over, human, Vexathara screamed. We will come for your world. We will make you pay. Hyunwoo stopped at the door and turned back. You are welcome to try, Chancellor. But remember, we built everything you use to fight wars. Your ships, your weapons, your communications. All of it has human technology inside. He pressed another button on his device. Oh, and Chancellor, your personal ship that brought you here? It won't start anymore, none of your ships will. You might want to think about how you're going to get home. As Hyunwoo walked out of the council hall, he could hear the screaming behind him. The galaxy's most powerful leaders were trapped on a planet with no way to contact their fleets, their governments, or their families. Earth had severed its ties with the galaxy. Now the galaxy would learn what it meant to stand without human help. The age of human submission was over. What came next would be entirely up to the aliens who had pushed them too far. 3 months had passed since Earth cut all ties with the Galaxy Council. The effects were worse than anyone had imagined, except for the humans who had planned it all. Captain Minho Lee stood on the bridge of his merchant ship, the New Soul. Through the front window he could see a Vorton trade convoy floating dead in space. Their ships were dark and silent. No lights, no movement, no life support. Captain, his communications officer called out, they're sending distress signals on all frequencies. Minho smiled coldly. Are we receiving any distress signals, Lieutenant? The young officer understood. No, sir. I don't hear anything. The, New Soul flew past the stranded convoy without slowing down. Behind them, hundreds of Vorthon traders were slowly dying as their life support systems failed. These were the same Vorthons who had charged humans triple rates for basic supplies. The same ones who had laughed when human ships were attacked by pirates. Now they were calling for help from the very humans they had cheated and insulted. Minho felt no pity for them. On Earth, President Eun Jung-yoon stood before the United Earth Assembly. The huge hall was packed with representatives from every human colony, every space station, every settlement across human space. My fellow humans, she began, her voice strong and clear. For 3 months we have stood alone. The aliens said we could not survive without them. They said we would come crawling back begging to rejoin their council. She gestured to a large screen that showed star maps. Red areas marked alien space where chaos was spreading. Green areas showed human territory, peaceful and well defended. Instead, look what has happened. Trade wars rage across the galaxy. Ancient enemies fight battles that should have ended centuries ago. Plagues spread through alien worlds because they cannot make the medicine we invented. Their fleets cannot coordinate attacks because they have no way to communicate across star systems. The assembly erupted in cheers. These were people who had suffered under alien rules for decades. They had watched their children be rejected from alien schools. They had seen their businesses destroyed by unfair alien laws. They had buried friends and family members who died because aliens would not share medical technology. Now those same aliens were dying without human help. Commander Tai Hyung. O stepped forward with a data pad. He was head of Earth Intelligence, the spy organization that most aliens did not know existed. Madam President, I have reports from across the galaxy. He activated a holographic display that showed the galactic map. Dozens of red warning indicators were flashing. The hegemony tried to build their own quantum communicators. They managed to copy the outside design, but they couldn't understand how the inside worked. When they turned on their first test unit, it created a quantum feedback loop that destroyed 3 research stations and killed over 10,000 scientists. The assembly gasped. Even though they had no love for the hegemony, the loss of life was shocking. The Crystal Collective is trying to use their natural telepathic abilities to replace our communication networks. But telepathy doesn't work across interstellar distances. Their fleets are basically flying blind. Taehyung touched the display and new images appeared. The Aquatic Union's medical systems are failing. Without our nanomedical robots, they can't treat basic diseases. Their hospitals are overflowing with patients they cannot help. President Yoon nodded grimly. And what of our own people? Human colonies are thriving, Madam President. Our secret research projects have given us technology that's decades ahead of anything the aliens have seen. Our ships are faster, our weapons more powerful, our defenses stronger. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Engineer Young Sik Nam supervised the construction of humanity's new fleet. The shipyards here had been hidden for 20 years, disguised as mining operations. Now they worked day and night, building vessels that would shock the galaxy. The ships were sleek and beautiful, with hulls that seemed to bend light around them. They used quantum engines that could travel between star systems in hours instead of days. Their weapons could punch through any known shield technology. Most importantly, they were completely invisible to alien sensors. Young Sik watched as the newest ship, the Busan, rolled out of the construction bay. It was 3 times larger than the biggest alien dreadnought, but it showed up on sensors as nothing more than empty space. Sir, one of his engineers said, the aliens are trying to scan our shipyards again. Young Sik laughed. Let them look. All they'll see is a bunch of miners digging up asteroids. Far from Earth, the galaxy was falling apart. The great Nexus trade wars had begun when supply chains collapsed without human technology. Species that had been allies for centuries were now fighting over basic resources. The Kethvari swarm, a race of insect-like creatures, saw the chaos as an opportunity. They had always wanted to conquer Centauri space, but the Galaxy Council had kept them in check. Now, with communications down and fleets scattered, they launched a massive invasion. Fleet Admiral Dasam Ryu watched the battle from her command ship, hidden in the outer edges of the Centauri system. She was Earth's top military commander, a small woman with sharp eyes who had studied every alien military strategy for 30 years. Admiral, her sensor officer reported, the Centauri defense fleet is 3 hours late to the battle. Their ships can't coordinate without quantum communications. On the main screen, they could see Kethavari ships swarming through Centauri space like angry wasps. Centauri dreadnoughts fired wildly, hitting their own allies as often as the enemy. Without communication, they had no way to coordinate their attacks or call for help. Should we intervene, Admiral? Her second-in-command asked. Dasam's expression was ice-cold. The Centauri voted to steal our mining rights. They called us primitive, barbarians. They said humans were too stupid to understand real military strategy. She watched as a Centauri hospital ship was destroyed by Kethvari fighters. Thousands of innocent people died in the explosion. Let them reap what they have sown. she said quietly. Earth stands alone now. Back on Nexus Prime, the homeworld of the Galaxy Council, chaos ruled. Chancellor Vexithara paced back and forth in her office, her 6 eyes wild with panic. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy, all of them bad. High Arbiter Morden materialized in the room, his crystal body flickering with unstable energy. Chancellor, we must contact the humans. The galaxy is falling apart without them. Never. Vexithara screamed, her spines rattling with rage. We are the elder races. We ruled this galaxy for millions of years before humans even learned to make fire. We will not bow to these upstart apes. Morden's light dimmed. Chancellor, please, listen to reason. Our finest scientists cannot understand human technology. Our economists say that 60% of galactic trade depended on human innovations. Our military reports that most of our weapons systems have human components that we cannot replace. Vexithara struck her desk with a clawed hand, leaving deep scratches in the metal. Then we will build our own technology. We will create our own networks. We will show these humans that we don't need them. Chancellor, a new voice interrupted. Sub-Chancellor Korth entered the room, his reptilian features twisted with worry. I've just received reports from the Outer Rim. The Umbral Syndicate has begun expanding again. Vexithara's spines went flat against her body. The Umbral Syndicate was a collection of the galaxy's most violent criminals and terrorists. For decades, they had been contained by Council forces using human-designed weapons and human medical technology to counter their bioweapons. How many systems have they taken? She asked quietly. 17 so far, Korth replied. Their plague ships are spreading diseases that we can no longer cure. Our medical facilities don't have the nano-robots needed to treat the infected. Morden's crystal body flashed with alarm. Without human medical technology, those plagues will spread across the galaxy. Billions will die. Vexithara sank into her chair. For the first time in her long life, she felt truly helpless. The humans had not just left the Council. They had taken with them the invisible foundation that held galactic civilization together. And now that foundation was crumbling, taking everything else with it. 6 months had passed since Earth walked away from the galaxy. What had started as trade disputes and communication failures had exploded into full-scale wars across hundreds of star systems. Captain Su Jin Han piloted her reconnaissance ship, the Busan Dawn, through the ruins of what used to be the Coral Nebula trading hub. The massive space station that had once housed millions of beings from dozens of species was now a twisted wreck floating in space. Record everything, she told her crew. Earth Command wants to document what happens when the galaxy tries to function without us. Through the ship's sensors, they could see the aftermath of a battle between the Aquatic Union and the Silicon Collective. Both sides had claimed ownership of the trading hub when the Council's authority collapsed. Neither had been willing to back down. The battle had lasted 3 days. Without quantum communications to coordinate their fleets, both sides had fired on everything that moved, including neutral merchant ships and refugee vessels. In the end, everyone lost. Captain, her sensor operator reported, I'm detecting life signs in the station's medical bay. Looks like survivors. Su Jin considered her options. Earth's orders were clear. No contact with aliens, no aid to non-human vessels, complete isolation. But these were civilians, not soldiers. Are any of them human? She asked. Negative, Captain. All alien life signs. Then we continue our mission, Su Jin said, though the words felt heavy in her mouth. Earth stands alone. The Busan Dawn moved away from the destroyed station, leaving behind hundreds of dying aliens who would have been saved instantly if human medical ships had been allowed to help. On Earth, Dr. Changmin Seo reviewed intelligence reports in his office at the Xenobiology Institute. As Earth's top expert on alien biology, he had once worked closely with scientists from across the galaxy. Now those same scientists were sending desperate messages that he was forbidden to answer. The Umbral Syndicate has taken 14 more systems, he reported to the Emergency Council. Their bioweapons are spreading through the Outer Rim like wildfire. President Yoon Jong-yoon studied the star maps with growing concern. Red zones marked areas where the Syndicate's plague ships had struck. The diseases they carried had once been easily treated with human nanomedical technology. Now they were killing entire populations. "How many dead so far?" she asked quietly. "Conservative estimates put it at 2 billion beings," Changmin replied. "And the numbers are rising fast." Defense Minister Wanil-bak leaned forward. "Madam President, some of our colonies in the Outer Rim are requesting evacuation. The Syndicate is moving toward human space." Yoon-jung felt the weight of leadership pressing down on her. She had wanted to teach the galaxy a lesson about taking humans for granted. She had not wanted to watch billions die. "Our orders stand," she said finally. "No human ship approaches alien space. No human colony offers aid to non-human refugees. If the Syndicate threatens our people, we will defend ourselves. But we will not save aliens who voted to treat us as second-class citizens." Changmin nodded, but his expression was troubled. "Madam President, I've been analyzing the Syndicate's expansion pattern. They're not just taking territory. They're hunting for something specific." He activated a holographic display that showed the Syndicate's movements over the past 3 months. Instead of random expansion, their fleets were following precise paths through space. "They're looking for human colonies," Changmin concluded. "Specifically, colonies that might have stockpiles of our medical technology." On the distant world of Nexus Prime, Chancellor Vexithera faced the worst crisis in the Council's history. The great assembly hall that had once housed representatives from thousands of species now held fewer than 100 delegates. Most species had withdrawn from the Council to focus on their own survival. "The situation is out of control," reported General Thexmore of the Council Defense Forces. "Half our member species are at war with each other. The other half are dealing with internal rebellions or plague outbreaks." High Arbiter Morden's crystal body flickered with unstable energy. For months he had been pushing himself beyond his limits, trying to hold the remaining Council forces together. "Our fleets cannot coordinate without quantum communications. Our supply lines have collapsed. Our medical facilities are overwhelmed." Sub-Chancellor Korth spoke up from his position near the back of the hall. "There is only one solution. We must contact Earth and ask for their help." The hall erupted in angry voices. Representatives who had once dismissed humans as primitive, barbarians now screamed at each other over whether to swallow their pride. "Never," shouted Ambassador Zexfon of the Crystal Collective. "We are the elder races. We will not bow to upstart apes who have barely learned to leave their home system. Then you can explain to the families of the dead why your pride was more important than their lives," Korth shot back. Vexthara raised her clawed hands for silence. When the hall quieted, she spoke in a voice that shook with exhaustion. "I have been in contact with our finest scientists and engineers. They have been trying for 6 months to reverse engineer human technology. They have failed completely." She activated a holographic display that showed the remains of several research facilities. "Every attempt to copy human quantum communicators has resulted in catastrophic failure. We lost the Titan research station last week when their experiment created a black hole that consumed the entire moon." Morden flashed with alarm. "How many died?" 40 million scientists and their families," Vexthara replied. "The best minds in the galaxy, gone because we cannot understand how human technology works." In the silence that followed, Korth spoke again. "The humans are not the primitive barbarians we thought they were. Their technology is so advanced that our greatest scientists cannot even begin to understand it. We need them more than they need us." Far from the Council's debates, Fleet Admiral Dasam Ryu commanded Earth's hidden fleet from her flagship, the Sol Ascendant. The ship was invisible to alien sensors, allowing her to observe events across the galaxy without being detected. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth Command. Priority 1. Dasam accepted the transmission and saw President Eun Jung-yoon's face appear on her screen. The president looked tired and worried. "Admiral, we've received our first official communication from the Galaxy Council since we left. They're asking for a meeting." "What are your orders, Madam President?" "Maintain current positions. Do not reveal our fleet to alien forces, but be ready for anything. If the galaxy wants to talk, it means they're more desperate than we thought. Dasam nodded. Understood, Madam President. Should we be concerned about alien attempts to attack Earth? Unjung almost smiled. Let them try. Our new defense systems are operational. Any alien fleet that approaches human space will get a very unpleasant surprise. Back on Nexus Prime, Chancellor Vexithera made the most difficult decision of her career. Against the objections of half her remaining council, she authorized a message to be sent to Earth using old-fashioned radio waves, the only communication method that still worked. People of Earth, the message began. This is Chancellor Vexithera of the Galaxy Council. I am authorized to negotiate the terms of your return to galactic civilization. The message took 3 days to reach Earth. When it arrived, President Yoon Jung-yoon read it carefully, then called an emergency session of the Earth Assembly. They want us back, she announced to the packed hall. After 6 months of treating us like we don't exist, they want to negotiate. The assembly erupted in angry shouts. Representatives who had lost friends and family to alien discrimination were not in a forgiving mood. What do we tell them? Asked Defense Minister Won Il-bak. Yoon-jung looked out at the faces of her people. These were humans who had suffered under alien rule for decades. They had been treated as second-class citizens, cheated in trade deals, excluded from important decisions, and told they were too primitive to understand real politics. Now the same aliens who had dismissed them were begging for help. We tell them the truth, she said finally. Earth is no longer interested in joining anyone else's council. If they want our help, they can come to us and ask properly, as equals. The assembly cheered, but Yoon-jung felt no joy in the moment. Across the galaxy, billions were dying. The question now was whether human pride was worth more than alien lives. Soon they would all find out. 1 year after Earth severed all ties with the Galaxy Council, the impossible happened. A delegation of over 200 species arrived at Luna Station, the gateway to Earth space. Leading them was High Arbiter Morden, his crystal body dim and flickering like a dying star. Ambassador Hyun-woo Kim met them in the station's main docking bay. It was the first time in 12 months that he had been in the same room with council representatives. The change in them was shocking. Where once these beings had carried themselves with arrogance and pride, now they looked broken and desperate. Chancellor Vexithara, once so proud of her towering height and sharp spines, now hunched over like an old woman. Her 6 eyes were clouded with exhaustion and defeat. Ambassador Kim, Morden spoke, his translated voice barely above a whisper. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Hyun-woo remained standing while the aliens took their seats. It was a small gesture, but it made the power difference clear. Earth was no longer the one asking for favors. Speak your business, Hyun-woo said simply. Vexithara raised her head with great effort. We were wrong about humanity. We underestimated your contributions to galactic civilization. The galaxy is dying without you. How many dead? Hyun-woo asked bluntly. Morden's light flickered with pain. 15 billion beings so far. The Umbral Syndicate's bioweapons have spread to over 300 systems. Without your medical technology, we cannot stop the plagues. Trade wars have destroyed the economies of 47 major species, added Sub-Chancellor Korth. Without quantum communications, interstellar commerce has collapsed. Billions more are starving. Vexithara's voice cracked as she continued. Ancient enemies who were kept at peace by council authority are now destroying each other. The Kethavari have conquered half of Centauri space. The Crystal Collective is fracturing into warring factions. Everything is falling apart. Hyun-woo listened without expression. These were the same beings who had laughed when humans asked for fair treatment, the same ones who had voted to steal human mining rights and dismissed human concerns as unimportant. Why? Should Earth care? He asked coldly. The question hit the delegation like a physical blow. Several aliens made sounds of distress. Vexithara's spines rattled with desperation. Because you're better than us, she whispered. We treated you badly, but you have the power to save billions of innocent lives. Please. Before Hyun-woo could answer, alarms began sounding throughout Luna Station. Emergency lights flashed red as the station's commander rushed into the meeting room. "Ambassador," the commander reported, "we've got a problem. Our long-range sensors have detected something approaching from the galactic rim. Something big." In the station's command center, Captain Youngie Bay of the exploration vessel Incheon Pride was reviewing sensor data that made no sense. Her ship had been on a routine patrol of the outer rim when they had detected energy signatures unlike anything in their databases. "Show me what you found," Hyunwoo demanded, as he entered the command center with the alien delegation behind him. Youngie activated the main display. The screen showed a cluster of massive objects moving through space at incredible speed. Each one was the size of a small moon, but they moved with purpose and intelligence. "We detected them 3 days ago," Youngie explained. "They're moving directly toward the galactic core, destroying everything in their path. They've already consumed 12 star systems." Morden's crystal body flashed with terror. "The Void Hunters," he whispered. "By the ancient stars, the Void Hunters have returned." "What are Void Hunters?" Hyunwoo asked. Vexthara's 6 eyes were wide with ancient fear. "A machine race from before recorded history. They consume entire civilizations, harvesting quantum energy from living beings. The last time they appeared was 50,000 years ago. It took the combined might of 100 species to drive them back into the void between galaxies." Youngie's sensor operator called out urgently. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy spikes from the approaching objects. They're not just moving through space, they're eating it. Each system they pass through just disappears." Chief Scientist Do-Hyun An appeared on the command center's communication screen, broadcasting from his laboratory on Earth. His face was pale with worry. "I've been analyzing the sensor data," he reported. "The Void Hunters aren't just destroying worlds, they're harvesting quantum signatures from every living being they encounter. With each system they consume, they're growing stronger." Hyunwoo felt a chill run down his spine. "How long before they reach inhabited space?" "At their current rate of acceleration," Do-Hyun calculated, "they'll hit the outer colonies in 3 months, the galactic core in 5 years. Vexthara stepped forward, her pride completely gone. "Ambassador Kim, I am begging you. The galaxy cannot face this threat without human technology. Without your quantum weapons, your medical systems, your coordination networks, we will all die." Hyunwoo looked at the display showing the approaching Void Hunters. Each of those dark shapes represented the death of billions of beings. But he also remembered every slight, every insult, every time humans had been dismissed and ignored. "This is not Earth's problem," he said firmly. "You made it very clear that the galaxy doesn't need humanity. Deal with this yourselves." "We can't," Korth screamed, his reptilian features twisted with desperation. "We tried to fight them before, 50,000 years ago. It nearly destroyed us. And that was when we had technologies that we've since lost. Now, without human innovations, we have no chance at all." Young AA studied the sensor readings more closely. "Ambassador, there's something else. The Void Hunters aren't just heading for the galactic core. They're following specific paths through space." She highlighted several routes on the star map. "They're targeting systems with high concentrations of advanced technology, systems that would give them the most quantum energy to harvest." Do-Hyun's voice came through the speakers with growing alarm. "If they're hunting technology, they'll eventually target human space. Earth has the highest concentration of advanced quantum technology in the galaxy." The weight of that realization settled on everyone in the command center. Earth could ignore the galaxy's problems, but the Void Hunters would not ignore Earth. Fleet Admiral Dasam Ryu materialized as a hologram in the command center, transmitting from her flagship somewhere in deep space. "Ambassador, I've been monitoring Void Hunter movements. My analysis confirms Dr. An's assessment. They're not randomly destroying systems. They're hunting for the source of the galaxy's quantum technology." She paused, letting the implication sink in. "They're hunting for us." Hyunwoo stared at the display showing the approaching threat. For a year, Earth had stood apart from galactic affairs, watching aliens reap the consequences of their arrogance. Now that same isolation was about to become humanity's death sentence. Mordun stepped forward, his crystal body glowing with desperate hope. Ambassador, the Void Hunters have one weakness. 50,000 years ago, we discovered that they are vulnerable to a specific type of quantum resonance frequency, a frequency that disrupts their harvesting mechanisms. And you're telling me, this because, Hyunwoo asked, because human quantum technology is the only technology in the galaxy that can generate that frequency, Vexthara replied. You don't just hold the key to saving the galaxy, you hold the key to saving humanity itself. Hyunwoo looked around the command center at the faces of his fellow humans. These were people who had suffered under alien discrimination for decades, people who had watched their families be treated as second-class citizens, people who had every right to let the galaxy burn, but they were also the only people in the galaxy who could stop what was coming. Youngie spoke quietly. Ambassador, my ship detected human colonies in the Void Hunter's path. New Sol Colony, Busan Station, the research facilities at Tau Ceti. If we don't act, our own people will die. The choice was no longer between helping aliens or staying isolated. It was between saving everyone or watching everything die, including Earth. President Eun Jung-yoon stood before the largest assembly in galactic history. Over 10,000 species had sent representatives to Earth, something that had never happened before in recorded history. For the first time, the galaxy had come to humanity instead of the other way around. The meeting was held in Earth's orbital capital, New Geneva Station. The station had been built in secret during humanity's isolation, and its technology left the alien delegates speechless. The conference hall itself seemed to bend space and time, allowing beings from across the galaxy to attend in person despite the vast distances involved. People of the galaxy, Yoon Jung began, her voice carried by quantum transmitters to every corner of known space. You have come to Earth asking for our help against the Void Hunters. Before we discuss terms, let me make something very clear. She gestured to a holographic display that showed the approaching Void Hunter fleet. The dark machines had consumed 23 star systems in the past month, growing stronger with each world they devoured. Earth did not create this crisis. Earth did not cause the collapse of galactic civilization. Earth did not bring the Void Hunters to our galaxy. You did all of that yourselves when you decided that humanity was too primitive to deserve equal treatment. The hall was completely silent. Thousands of alien beings who had once looked down on humans now listened with desperate attention to every word. However, Yoon-jung continued, we are not the petty, vengeful species you believed us to be. We will help you fight the Void Hunters, but not as members of your council, not as junior partners who do what they're told. She paused, letting her words sink in. The Terran Federation will work with you as equals, or not at all. Chancellor, Vexthara stood up from her seat near the front of the hall. The proud alien leader who had once towered over human representatives now looked small and broken. What are your terms? She asked quietly. First, Yoon-jung replied, formal recognition that humanity is the galaxy's leading technological power. No more talk of primitive barbarians or upstart apes. No more limiting our ship production or restricting our territorial expansion. High Arbiter Mordun's crystal body flashed with agreement. Accepted. Second, permanent human representation on all major governing bodies, not as observers or junior members but as equal partners in all decisions. Sub-Chancellor Korth nodded eagerly. Of course, whatever you require. Third, reparations for decades of discrimination. Every human colony that was denied resources, every human ship that was overtaxed, every human citizen who was treated unfairly. Full compensation. The alien delegates looked at each other nervously. The cost would bankrupt several species, but with the Void Hunters approaching, they had no choice. Agreed, Vexthara whispered. Good, Yoon-jung said. Now let's discuss how we're going to save the galaxy. Admiral So-min Park stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Sol Ascendant, as humanity's hidden fleet finally revealed itself to the galaxy. Around her, hundreds of human warships decloaked simultaneously, appearing like ghosts materializing from empty space. The alien fleets that had been preparing to fight the Void Hunters stopped dead as sensors that had shown empty space suddenly showed the largest military force in galactic history, human ships that made the Council's greatest dreadnoughts look like children's toys. Captain Taejun Ko of the destroyer New Seoul watched alien crews stare in awe at his ship. The destroyer was smaller than most alien capital ships, but its quantum engines bent space around it in impossible ways. Its hull seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, its weapons charged with energies that made reality itself ripple. "Admiral," Ko reported over the quantum communication network, "alien fleets are requesting permission to integrate with our formation." So Min smiled grimly. "Grant their request, Captain. Today, we fight as one fleet." Dr. Ji-Hai Choi worked frantically in her laboratory on Luna Station, putting the finishing touches on humanity's ultimate weapon against the Void Hunters. The quantum resonance cannon was based on technology that even she didn't fully understand. It reached into the deepest levels of reality itself, disrupting the energy patterns that the Void Hunters used to harvest quantum signatures from living beings. "Doctor," her assistant Young-Sik Nam called out, "the first Void Hunter fleet has entered the outer rim. They're moving faster than predicted." Ji-Hai looked at her instruments. The weapon was ready, but she had no idea if it would work. Human technology was advanced, but the Void Hunters were older than most stars. "Load the resonance frequencies into all human ships," she ordered. "If we're wrong about this, the entire galaxy dies." The Battle of the Nexus Gate became the stuff of legend. Commander Won-Sik Jang led a squadron of human fighters against Void Hunter harvester ships, their small craft dancing between dimensions, while alien crews watched in amazement. The fighters moved like they were alive, dodging attacks that should have been impossible to avoid. "All human units," Admiral Soman Park broadcast across the fleet, "engage quantum resonance weapons on my mark." The Void Hunters approached like a dark tide, their massive forms blotting out stars as they moved. Each one was the size of a moon, covered in harvesting tentacles that reached out to drain the life force from entire worlds. "Mark," Soman commanded. Every human ship fired at once. The quantum resonance beams reached out across space, striking the Void Hunters with frequencies that made them scream with electronic agony. For the first time in 50,000 years, the ancient machines faltered. Captain Min-Ho Lee, now commanding the heavy cruiser Busan, led the killing blow against the Void Hunter command ship. His vessel's main cannon fired a concentrated burst of quantum energy that tore through the ancient machine's defenses like paper. The explosion when the command ship died lit up half the star system. As it disintegrated, the other Void Hunters stopped their advance, confusion spreading through their networked minds. "All ships press the advantage," Soman ordered. "Don't let them regroup." The combined human-alien fleet surged forward, following the human ships that seemed to dance between reality and nightmare. Alien weapons that had been useless against Void Hunter armor suddenly found their mark when human ships disrupted the machine's defenses. When the last Void Hunter fell, the galaxy erupted in celebration. But on the bridge of the Soul Ascendant, Admiral Soman Park felt no joy. Too many had died for this moment to arrive. Too much trust had been broken for simple victory to heal the wounds. Ambassador Hyun-Woo Kim addressed the reformed Galaxy Council from Earth itself, forcing the alien delegates to come to humanity for the first time in galactic history. The symbolism was not lost on anyone present. "We withdraw our application for membership in your council," he announced, shocking the assembled delegates. "Instead, the Terran Federation offers partnership. We will work alongside the Galactic Assembly as equals, not as subjects seeking approval." Chancellor Vexithara bowed deeply, her pride completely gone. "We were fools to think the galaxy could exist without humanity. Never again will Earth stand alone." "See that it doesn't," Hyun-Woo replied, "because next time, we might not be so forgiving." Dr. Chang Min-seo established the Interspecies Cooperation Institute on Earth, where alien scientists came to learn from human innovation. For the first time in galactic history, the flow of knowledge reversed. Instead of humans learning from Aliens. Aliens came to learn from humans. Engineer Youngsik Nam oversaw the construction of joint defense platforms powered by human technology, but crewed by beings from across the galaxy. The platforms would serve as early warning systems against future threats and symbols of the new cooperation between species. Captain Sujin Han of the exploration vessel, Busan Dawn, led the first mixed-species expedition into uncharted space since the crisis began. As they discovered a new world teeming with life, she thought about how much had changed. "Captain," her alien science officer reported, "the planet shows signs of a developing civilization. Should we make contact?" Sujin considered the question. In the old days, the Galaxy Council would have made that decision for humanity. Now humans made their own choices about first contact, exploration, and diplomacy. "Prepare a standard first contact package," she ordered, "and make sure it includes human perspectives on galactic citizenship. Let them know they have choices about how they interact with the greater galaxy." President Yoon Jong-yoon stood in Four, her office on Earth, looking out at the stars. Messages of gratitude were pouring in from across the galaxy. Species that had once dismissed humanity as primitive barbarians now called them saviors and heroes. But Yoon Jung felt no satisfaction in their praise. The galaxy had learned its lesson, but the cost had been too high. Billions had died in the wars and plagues that followed Earth's withdrawal. Entire civilizations had collapsed because they depended too heavily on human innovations without understanding them. "Madam President," her aide announced, "the Galactic Assembly is requesting your presence at their reformed opening ceremony. They want to formally recognize Earth as the galaxy's leading technological power." Yoon Jung smiled, but it was a sad smile. "Tell them I'll be there, but remind them that titles and ceremonies don't matter. What matters is how we treat each other when no one is watching." The galaxy had learned that humans weren't just another species among thousands.